Hello Andy, this is Colin. I won't be able to get in tonight. I'm sweating like a pig.
David, One Up Gaming, episode 385 of the One Up Gaming podcast. So this is the games played this week section of the show. And so first of all, we played RoboCop. Now everyone's thinking, ooh, RoboCop Rogue City, absolutely amazing. Yes, but no, we played the PlayStation 2 version of RoboCop. It is really bad, really bad. Graphically for the time it was adequate, not great, but it was adequate. It's a first person shooter. It's got the targets, it's got the little crosshairs, it's got all the little heat vision things, it's got everything that you need. It just doesn't have the feel and the heft of what the new version has, and it was just not very good. Yeah, not great. So this week I did play a lot of PlayStation 2 games. So following on from that, we have Outrun 2, 2006, Coast to Coast. So I think this was like the updated sort of version of Outrun 2. Still looks amazing, still plays amazing. It's just got like the full Outrun 2 game in there. And it's also got like a whole load of other stages and levels and cars and models and everything. So I believe this is the version 2 game. And I will say it is Sega at their absolute finest. It looks amazing, it plays amazing, music's so good, the feel of the game's great. It is just an absolute top-notch arcade racer experience. It's not a racing game. It's more of it's just like a time trial, clock to clock sort of thing. There is cars to go past, but it's not like a racing on a circuit sort of game. It is a bloody good game though, and I really recommend any of, where's the Outrun 3? We really need another update to the Outrun games, because the Outrun games were amazing. Moving on. I watched the movie Blade 2 with my wife not too long ago now, and I thought, do you know what? I think I've got Blade 2 on the PlayStation 2. So I loaded it up, started playing it. It's one of those games that I don't know how early it was in the PlayStation 2 life cycle, but you can tell it's a PlayStation 1 game with the PlayStation 2 rendering techniques and more detailed backgrounds. So it plays very much like a PlayStation 1 game, high resed up with more detail. So it uses the tank sort of controls, so not like the modern third person action games where I thought all PlayStation 2 games would have gone this way, but I guess Tomb Raider was massive and a lot of people were still thinking to create games in that mould, so it just didn't play very well. The shooting's not great, the graphics aren't great, it's not a very good game. So it's probably better than RoboCop. Maybe not the budget of the game, because I think RoboCop looks and sort of like feels more like a PlayStation 2 sort of game from the ground up, whereas Blade 2 is a PS1 game migrated over to PS2 to try and sell some, and it was just not the best. But yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you going to do? Now, the next game that I've got, it's called Project Astra Dominium. Dominium? Yeah, that sounds right. And I believe it's a top-down strategy sort of game. Tower defense. You place your little towers, and you have to try and stop the enemies attacking the base, basically. And it's not a bad little game. It's just not the best. So unfortunately, it's it just didn't hit it for me. It's all right. For me, it's like a mobile sort of game. Load up on your mobile, free to play, click a couple of buttons, watch it. But to sit there and play on a PC, it's just not, graphically it's not there. Gameplay, it's a bit simple and a bit budget. Graphically, it leaves a lot to be desired. It's not the best, but you know, it's just not very good. Sorry guys. So we'll move swiftly on to probably one of the better games played this week, and that was, again, PlayStation 2 to the rescue, Auto Modelista. And this is a racing game, a proper full driving racing game from Capcom, I believe it was. I'm thinking Capcom. And it feels and handles quite well for a PS2 sort of game. And they went all out batshit crazy with the graphics. Full trying to burp on camera. Full sort of like cartoony style, really primary colours. It looks amazing, it plays really well, it's a great game, and I think a lot of the people that bought this originally bought it because it looked like a kiddie game, but it's really hard, or the people that thought it was a kiddie game didn't buy it because they wanted a more realistic sort of game, which this is more sort of like there. It's really good. It's, in the concept of hindsight, this is an amazing game, and it's a great game. So yeah, I would easily recommend Auto Modelista. So the next game we played this week is Nobody Sleeps Tonight, and this one is a first person walking simulator sort of thing, like first person shootery sort of thing. Very budget, very cheaply made, and it is just a bad game. It looks like it's one of those like game maker engines. Very cheap, very bad. So I'm not really going to go into it. It's just like walk to this point, click a button, then go to the next point, click a button, while you're trying to avoid the monsters. Dark sort of like backgrounds and dark interiors and things like that. So yeah, not the best. Next up we have Gargoyles Remastered. So Gargoyles, the TV series, the cartoon, when I was a kid, was amazing, but I never played the game, and I've played this one and I couldn't get off the first level. I'm stumped. I am completely stupid. I don't know how to play it. I should have maybe just googled it or YouTubed it or whatever, but I just played it for 20 minutes, changed it to the original setting, original graphic style, and it looks nice, and then you change it to the remastered sort of style at a click of a button, and it looks like how do you say, like a mobile sort of like HD sort of game, 2D side-scrolling platformer in the mould of all the other like Disney games, so like the Aladdins, the Lion King, all those sort of things. So really good art, really good animation, but those sort of play second fiddle to how the gameplay feels. So I mean, like Lion King played well, Aladdin played amazing, but then like sort of like the Pocahontas sort of, the more that you got into it, they went really for the graphics and the style rather than the actual gameplay. And unfortunately this one I think's more of the style and the graphics rather than the gameplay. So next up we have The Light in the Darkness, and this one is a 3D kind of like a point and click sort of story driven game. Very cutesy style graphics, considering it's set in 1941, 1942, at the dawn of the Second World War. You're I'm gonna say a Jewish family, and I can't remember if you lived in Germany or if you live in like the outs, sort of like Polandish sort of, you know, like the areas around where you own a shop and you're like a little kid, and it's very slow, but I would have a guess, because I only played it for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, and it seems as though like you're playing the game and then you like, it's like written text, it's not even like spoken text, and you can like get things that are happening with your parents about the war that's happening, how things are going, and it just seems as though in the grand scheme of things, after a while it will start to pay off with the background story. And I guess the war comes more into it, more prominent, and there'll be like death and loss and all that kind of stuff, and it could move into a good sort of story. But from what I played, it was too slow to get into, and that's the only downside I had of that. Very slow movement, very slow narrative. But yeah, other than that, if you're interested in these sort of games about the war, people's loss, the hope, abandonment, all this kind of stuff, give it a go. The light in the darkness. And the last proper game that I played this week was Premier Manager 09. Now this is the last Premier Manager game that I've played, and I will say it plays very much like, I can't remember when it changed over to this sort of format, but it's been like this exact same game for like 4 or 5 years now. They just updated the stats and the players, things like that. Graphically it's basically the same, gameplay is the same. I still think out of all the Premier Manager games on the PC, I think it was number 2 or number 3 that was the best. It was really good. And then the kinda, I think they must have gone with a different publisher and different developer, and it just went really bad. But yeah, Premier Manager 09, not a bad little game, but it's just like not the best. I will just like to mention again, I've been playing my little tiny handheld, and I've got my Dreamcast emulator working, and I've been playing a game called Giant Killers, and it is one of those games where it is amazing. I think I've just broken the game now. Yeah, I think, oh there, see if I can load it. Is it gonna load? Nah. Oh, there we go. So it's got like your team, as always, like a management game has. It's got your tactics, your 4-4-2, and then if you go to the is it gonna say the next match? Just keep clicking buttons, prepare for match. I think that's, yeah, I'll play attacking. We're playing Watford, so I'm not going to have the sound on, and it's going to be very hard to see. So it's Newcastle v Watford, and it's got like a teletext sort of like thing. So on the actual screen itself, it actually goes into detail. So it says 1 minute 04, Dyer sees Clark in space. The pass is good, but Wright does well to force Clark wide. Somehow the Newcastle United player makes the cross. Heskey's running onto it. He heads it down under the keeper's body. Goal. Walker couldn't keep it out. Then 2 minutes 22. Watford restart the game with Noel Williams. 21 minutes 41. Heskey collects the ball on the halfway line and knocks it onto Carbone. He takes it past Bonnet. He's got Ferguson in space. The pass is good, and Ferguson's snapshot superb. Goal. What a brilliant strike. So at the moment I'm winning 2-0. So it's a game that it's very boring, but if you're not really bothered and not really interested, like you're watching something else, you can just press the button and start the game, and you don't really need to concentrate on it. There's not that much happening, and yeah, it is just a simple sort of game. I think it was Dreamcast's only management, like football management game. I think it was only released in Europe, and it's just not a very good game. So kick off for the second half. I'm winning 2-1 at the minute. So we'll go into the last thing, and I just wanted to mention The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. And yeah, it's not great, but I will just like to say that I found it really interesting going to another country, another place where you can see how things have happened, how things went. I love the fact of starting it at the very beginning and then cutting 12 years later to when Daryl sort of came into the actual show. God, this is annoying. There we go, I've done subs. And I just love the fact of seeing people as the outbreak first happened, how things went, and then cutting it back, and then it keeps doing what I think is really good, where it keeps cutting back 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, and explaining some of the stories, some of the elements, and it's really well done. I love the fact that, as I said, they're not in France, not in America anymore. Oh, I won 3-1. So I'll save this. Not in America, they're in another country, and it's just really, really well done. Save that. So yeah, so you can like save the game as well, and it's just a nice sort of system. I love it. I love the 6-button control layout. I love that. I mean, like, when you think about it, that's perfect. You can play all your Mega Drive, Saturn games, but also your first 4 buttons there, they can just be used for your X, square, triangle, sort of like PlayStation style buttons. And then you've also got your 2, like your trigger buttons at the top. So you can play sort of like PlayStation style games, no problem at all on it. It's a really good game, really good little thing. So it's the Amberneck Arc. So thanks to the wife for that for Christmas. It was great. But yeah, Daryl Dixon. I do think that this had a bigger budget, or it seemed to have a bigger budget than the Dead World. Is it Dead World? The one that had Maggie and Negan in. And I just think that the actors and the writing was just done better. So yeah, I'd recommend The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. I think it's going to be really fun. Season 2, it looks like Carol's coming back into it, so that'll be fun. But yeah, so that's me, David, One Up Gaming, of the games we've been playing this week from episode 384. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.